Head on Fire is a Patreon-supported podcast. Supporters of the show get early access to audio and video content, episode archives, monthly roundtables, a book club, and more. All benefits are offered on a sliding scale, so no matter your level of donation, you never miss out. If you like this show, consider supporting it with $1 a month or whatever you can at patreon.com/headonfirepod. Thanks, and enjoy the show. Like many of you, my life has changed a lot in the last few years. The pandemic, lockdowns, quarantine measures, working from home, the way that all of those things have utterly transformed the landscape of what it means to have a job, what it means to pursue a career, has radically transformed not only my life, but the lives of a lot of people. And it's not the first time that it's happened, at least certainly not in my lifetime. I graduated college in 2009, right around the time that the housing collapse, the housing market collapse was sort of rocking world economies, these ripple effects that continue to be felt today, right? We're utterly just demolishing sort of the expectations that my generation had about what it meant to pursue a career, to pursue your passions. You know, we were told growing up that if you wanted to do something, go to college, get a degree in that thing, and then there will be a job waiting for you at the end that you'll be able to live on, right? That you'll be able to have a career. And the thing is, you know, we've adjusted to that. You know, the people in my generation, millennials, you know, we went out, we got different kinds of jobs. Some of us worked 2, 3, 4, 5 jobs at any given time. We leaned into hustle culture, right? We made a life for ourselves by any means necessary. And in the last couple of years, there are folks now in younger generations that are learning similar lessons, learning that a career, a job, a passion doesn't necessarily have a linear path. That is no more apparent than in the conversation that I have with my guest today, Nikk Alcaraz. Nikk gained viral popularity on the social media app TikTok in the last couple of years and has gone on to create quite a career for himself under the moniker of Practical Peculiarities. He first went viral with videos of his baking and cooking, with his interesting, spooky, magical twists on food, sort of representative of, he's sort of a spiritual successor to Christine McConnell. And just like his spiritual forebears, he didn't just stay crafting kooky, spooky, baked creations. He's gone on to create all sorts of crafts, gone on to an HBO TV show appearance. He's got a cookbook in the works. But you know what? He doesn't have a product line of any kind. He doesn't have, baked items that you could buy in a store somewhere. He doesn't have a cookbook line. He doesn't have special sculpted pans that you could buy to sort of replicate the things that he does in his videos. He's literally a content creator. He creates videos of him doing interesting, creative things, and he puts them out online to hopefully inspire you to put a little bit of magic back into your world, into your crafts, to give you ideas. He's a true content creator. And I realize that word kind of sounds gross to some people. For some people, it sort of evokes this idea that there's people out there famous for being famous. They don't contribute anything to the world. They just take selfies and post them online and get a lot of followers and inflate their own ego, and that's it. But the thing is, what Nikk does is indeed content creation. He's using the skills that he's learned in past jobs, in those past hustle culture jobs, plus his hobbies, plus his passions, to create a whole new career for himself. It's really inspiring. So today on Head on Fire, we are asking the question, how do I find my passion? Nikk Alcaraz, thank you so much for being here today. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. So you have become pretty ubiquitous on social media in the last year, 2 years?
Yes, I'd say year. The last year. Yeah.
Year. So if for folks that don't know, though I'm sure they've probably seen one of your videos, even if they don't know your name, who are you? What do you do?
Right. So I'm a DIY and food artist, content creator, and actor. And my videos are like DIY and dark themed on Instagram and TikTok.
So, what I love about your work is that I don't know if you're somebody that shies away from comparisons or embraces them, but what I love is you just seem to be like the male answer to Christine McConnell.
Right. And
Uh,
I get that a lot. She has been like a big inspiration, everything, well, not everything that I've done, but she's been a big inspiration. And once I saw somebody like me have a Netflix show, I was like, well, if people are loving what she's doing, then I can let myself out of the cage and I can go ahead and do what I do because I have ideas too. I've been like that ever since I was a kid. So, yeah, just one day after I quit my job after during the pandemic, I started and then it's succeeded. So yes.
it did succeed, and your videos are everywhere. You operate under the handle Practical Peculiarities. Is that right?
Yes, Practical Peculiarities.
Which is a whole mouthful. So, where in the world do these ideas come from? Because I started watching you through like your baking videos, where
Right.
you're doing a food, but the food is a twist, and then there's another twist, and then there's another twist.
Yeah, so honestly, I'm sure you're expecting this huge answer on how I get all my inspiration for these crazy crafts and food, but honestly, I have to say that I don't know. They just come to me. Like I sleep and I get these dreams and then I have all these ideas and I kind of just mash them all together to create something. And sometimes it's a crapshoot, sometimes it's a viral video. So yeah.
When was the first time that you put something out there that it got like this huge response and you thought, okay, maybe I can make this into something?
Yeah, it was actually January 20 something of 2021.
Uh-huh.
I made the viral apple eye pie.
Mm-hmm.
And it was crazy because before that, I made like maybe 3 or 4 TikToks and I'd get some followers. But that one, once I posted it, it climbed up so fast. My
Yeah.
friends were like messaging me and they're like, oh my God, Nikk, look at your video. And I was like, what is this? What is life? So like that climbed so quickly, thousands of views and followers. And then after that, a few days later, Gordon Ramsay duetted it, calling me a donut. And then my social media following went even bigger. So that was when I was just like, hey, I have a lot more ideas and I have something here for sure. And yeah, it just started like that. Companies would reach out to me and be like, "Hey, we love your content. Could we send you some products and could you do a video on them?" And so I'd work on incorporating their product in a creepy way. And ever since then, it's just been Practical Peculiarities. It's just been my job.
What's it like to have beef with Gordon Ramsay?
Oh, okay. Gordon Ramsay is so sweet. So our beef is basically, he has this whole persona of bashing people. His page is called Ramsay Reacts, so he reacts to
Sure.
cooks that do weird things. But basically, I feel like he likes it because he duetted me actually twice. So
Uh-huh.
I did the apple eye pie. He called me a donut. Then I did this video of making him into a donut, but it was kind of like puppet themed.
Uh-huh.
And then I bit his head off, and then he replied to that. So the reverb was really fun. But basically, I would say that he does like my videos because he follows me on TikTok. And yeah, I don't know. Like everything he says isn't like horrible. It's kind of playful. You could tell.
Sure.
Yeah.
Um, so, operating at a level like you are starting to operate at, celebrities are starting to notice you, brands are taking an interest, you're
Yeah.
able to make sort of a living off of your creativity and your work. That kind of thing, has to come with a level of pressure, though, a level of pressure to continue to put out, a level of pressure to get the thing right, to find the next iPie or find the next Gordon Ramsay pop, find the next thing that keeps clicks and views coming in, because all of us that put content out there are beholden to the mighty algorithm.
Right.
So what
yes.
does that pressure feel like for you, and how do you deal with it?
The pressure is really hard, especially around the season where people expect someone like me to put out grade A content.
Sure.
The pressure is really hard. And I often have to think back to how I started and how it kind of naturally came out of me. And I kind of put myself in a state where I'm doing this because the love of it and everything else will follow. So I try to care less, basically. When I'm creating content, I have to try to care less. If I get it too, if it looks too forced, then it's just not going to do well. Like, the audience knows bull crap from a mile away. Like, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, that's not good. That's not good." So if it's, they know when it's authentic. So I just need to go back to my myself and try to make it authentic. If that answers anything.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it actually makes me want to know more about, because, I'm so used to doing a podcast or writing a book, having a lot longer of a period of time to sort of make a point or to discuss an issue or something like that.
Right.
But with TikTok, with social media, the way that it is with instructional DIY videos, you have to crunch an idea down into that first 5 seconds. Like, you've got 5 seconds to hook someone in. And, how does that ever get really I don't know if meta is the right word, but does that ever just stick in your brain?
Yeah, before I did Practical Peculiarities, so it's just a little bit of my background, is I actually worked for a content creation company that did DIY videos and food videos. And you've probably seen them under Blossom or So Yummy. They do these very...
You worked for those companies?
Yeah, I was...
So you come by this honestly. You know how to do this.
Yeah, so I basically... in 2020, I was working, we were sent home and stuff, and I was a ghost artist. I knew I had so much more to offer. They didn't give us any credit or anything for our work, and also a lot of their stuff was a bit dishonest, and I wasn't for that. I was no, if I'm going to do something, my videos need to be honest. So I would always push for, when we were coming up with ideas, to make it honest, because that's what people want. They want it to be honest. They did it for the views. I'm not doing it for the views. I'm doing it to build a community and to educate. So I took a little bit of what they taught me of how to grab an audience, how to tell a story in such a small amount of time, and I put it through something that really works, something very useful. And if I don't have all the details in my video, I'll always have a recipe up on my Instagram, or I'm actually creating a website now, so I'll have those up on my website now. And it's kind of it's not an instructional video. It's kind of like an advertisement to a recipe, I would say. Yeah.
How do you deal with sort of the hustle culture that comes with trying to create a career out of creating videos, out of putting recipes out there, DIY projects, taking interview, out of building a business for yourself, out of building a life for yourself that's your own, that you create? How do you deal with that hustle mentality? Because it's taxing.
Well, one, I'm a Virgo. Virgos are workers, so I work. No, I've always wanted to do this. I have never really liked authority. So I know that if I want to make something for myself, if I want to put my name out there, I'm going to have to put in the work. But at the same time, I'm not going to push too hard, because what I want is going to come to me. I'm really big into manifestation. I believe that I manifested my whole life. Um, so yeah, when it comes to work, I schedule everything in my head the way that so it doesn't get so crazy, because it does. And I
Mm-hmm.
just work on it piece by piece, little by little. I don't really have to well, I do have to put content out, but I'm not so like, I have to do it so every day, I'm kind of just like putting enough out there so where people notice that it's there, they take it, they let it cook in their minds, and then maybe, a few days later, another one will pop up. Like, I don't want to be too annoying, I guess, with all of these videos that don't make sense, because for me, it's always quality over quantity, and I
Mm-hmm.
want the quality to be there for sure. So, could I do more? Yes, I can always do more, but I don't, because this is something that I love, and people don't really love to work. So I just want to live in my passion. So I just take my time.
So talk to me about your passions. Where did this love of cooking and DIY and all of that come from?
Um, well, I was raised by my grandmother, and she loved Halloween and witches and everything peculiar. And she basically instilled all of that interest in me since a young age. I would sit with her while she would make cookies, or make anything really, and we would just talk about things. And I would get so excited about Halloween. I actually I have like really bad anxiety, and I did since I was young. So like the thing that would make me calm down was talking about Halloween, or going, she would say, let's go to the store and look at the Halloween stuff. And that was just always something fun.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just a memory that I like to live on. It's a feeling I like to live on. What I do is sort of ritualistic and a tribute to her now that she's gone. And there are times for specific holidays that I will light a candle, and I'll call her. And I know that she's with me. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's where it came from, her influence.
Do you remember the first recipe that you made?
First peculiar recipe or
No.
first
What's the first thing you
recipe?
learned how to cook?
Okay, honestly, I started when I was young, so we used box cake mixes, but I would add
Sure.
things into the box cake mixes. So, like, I would add cinnamon to a chocolate one and call it like a
Mm-hmm.
Mexican hot chocolate cake,
Yep.
and
Yep.
do things like that. And then I'd start decorating them really cool. Like for Christmas, we'd make bundt cakes. They were bunts
Mm-hmm.
basically, but bundt cakes into wreaths and such. And that's how I really like started loving it, because people's reactions to it would be like great. And I'm a person who loves to help, or love to be of service, and those things made people happy, and that made me happy that they were happy. So I just kept doing it.
Yeah, my great grandmother. I got to spend a summer with her before she passed, a whole summer, and the first thing she ever taught me how to cook was grilled cheese,
Oh
and
yes.
yeah, like a really good grilled cheese. And I think it's just something about starting with the basics. It's
Yeah.
those become like comfort foods over
Oh,
time. I mean,
definitely.
do you ever? I love dressing up a box cake mix. I'm a whiz with dressing up a box cake mix. A little instant coffee, a little bit of extra here or there, and you get it great. But that's the thing, is that there are some safety handles, I think, safety bars along, making something from a box or a recipe or something like that. But for a lot of folks, what you do inspires a lot of fear. And I mean that just in like getting out a screwdriver or putting something together or trying a whole new kind of, tempering chocolate, like all of that. That's a lot. And,
Yes.
how do you, how did you get over the fear of trying those new things and, failing at them
Right.
miserably?
No, I've never had a fear of trying things. And that's why, like, I get a lot of comments where people say, what can you not do? The answer to that is I can't swim, but they always ask me that. And I always say, I'm not an expert in anything, but I love to try. I love to
Hmm.
try things. So I'm never scared to
I
try
love a
things.
dabbler.
Like if it fails, you just throw it away, or you learn. You learn either way, you know? So no fear here, except for the fear that I'm putting forward in my dark, creepy settings.
So the dark, creepy settings. I love Halloween. I have to ask you, what does Halloween look like for you? What does that time of year look like for you? Because for me, Halloween is Hocus Pocus. It's Halloween Town. Like my
Mhm.
Halloween is very much like a Disney Halloween. I
No,
don't I
yeah,
don't do
mine
the super
mine
creepy.
is definitely the same. I don't do the super creepy, even though I do have some, gore-ish recipes. I don't do the
Sure.
super creepy. It is
Yeah, I can't.
definitely like the Hocus Pocus. That was my favorite movie growing up. That and Practical Magic. Like I wore out the VHS for sure. But yeah, um, Halloween is like that for me. It's also very unique because Halloween goes back so far, and I love just the how historic it feels in a way. And I love to put that forward. Like I know at stores they have decorations that are so like kind of plastic and cheap, but I like to
Mhm.
decorate with things that are like, real gourds, real pumpkins, or like just nice black laces that you could find at a thrift store. Like things that are of value or of substance rather than just plastic decorations with weird faces everywhere in your house. So yeah, Halloween is very kind of just like how my backdrop is, but just with maybe an extra spider or two.
Is there anything that maybe you're intimidated to try? I mean, I know that you said that your sort of ethos is, well, I'll try anything, and if it fails, it fails. But is there? I
Right.
mean, I'm sure you have to have some. You got to have some stage fright. You got to have something somewhere in there.
Right. No stage fright. My degree is actually in acting and theater. Um, but I'm afraid to try macarons because they're so praised, and I feel like they're around like a lot of places, but I feel like they take such a long time to make, and they're just so precise.
Hmm.
I've tried once, and it's failed, and I've never tried again. And I've never had interest to try again, but I know that this year I am going to try again.
That is on my list of things to try as well. I'm a hobbyist. I'm nowhere near your skill. I'm a hobbyist baker. I love to bake. But I also tend to shy away from things that precision is part of it. Like
Right? Yeah.
it's you can't make an ugly macaron because then it's not a
Right.
macaron.
Exactly.
It's something else. I don't know what you made, but it's not a macaron. So I,
You know.
I shy away from things where precision needs to be a part of it.
Yes, yes, I totally relate to that. A cool thing about making food that's horror based or creepy based is that imperfection is part of the charm. So
Hmm.
macarons are just really perfect.
I know.
Yes.
It's no fun. Need to show you something here in just a second. You said that Practical Magic was one of your favorite movies, and I actually have. Food is a big part of the books of Alice Hoffman and especially the Owens women. I don't know if you've ever read any of the books, but there's
No.
so many recipes and so much food in those movies and in the
Uh-huh.
stories and stuff. She did a recipe book, and I have it. She signed
Oh,
it and
no
sent it to me.
way.
Yes.
That's so cool.
I will show you the Alice Hoffman recipe book here in just a second. So what's next for Practical Peculiarities? What do you want this to become?
Right. Well, okay. To be honest, I'm in such a place where I need to find a line between Practical Peculiarities and Nikk Alcaraz.
Hmm.
So I'm trying to find that balance of what am I? Am I somebody who only does creepy baking, or am I somebody who does more? Am I, so that question is really hard to answer right now.
Hmm.
But I do want to get a book out because a lot of followers really do want a recipe book, recipe craft book. So I'm trying to work toward that right now. And everything else, I'm just going to leave up to the wind, and we'll see where it takes me.
I think a lot of people that put themselves out online in initially in narrow niche sort of fields struggle with that. I've gone through my own struggle with that in the last couple of years of, who am I online versus who am I at home? And are those two people the same person?
Right.
Is it okay that they're not the same person at all times? Do I want them to be the same person?
Right.
Do you foresee a need to like make a second account that's just like, well, here's me going and getting coffee or something, or turning Practical Peculiarities more into an authentic reflection of your life?
Yeah, Practical Peculiarities is already going in a direction where it's authentic to me, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I started to introduce things, more simple things, like for Christmas, stuff for like, the Grinch and stuff, like things that I really do like. Sometimes my antique finds. There's not such a big gap between what I do online and then what I am at home. I'm just not 100% creepy all the time. Like I love the occasional white kitchen sometimes. I think they look really aesthetically pleasing, but yeah. Also, like I'm obsessed with these dishware. This dishware called jadeite, and it's basically like mint green dishware from like the 50s or 40s or all the way back then. And I collect it, but nobody knows that I collect it because it's not such a creepy thing. It's like a grandma thing to do, but
honestly, I don't know. I think something about a vintage aesthetic could easily lend itself to just something creepy. I think not to bring her back up, but that Christine McConnell has found that that nice thin balance between the vintage aesthetic that easily leads into creepy. If that's the direction you want to go, I think that template is there for you. You are.
Oh, no, that's her field for sure. I'll let her have that field. But I do have interest, and I am a big fan of her.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what do you watch for fun? I mean, obviously you're on TikTok, you're on some of these social media apps. Who are you watching? What inspires you?
Well, I love accounts that are about like self-growth because I love inspiring things. Like if I'm going to spend forever on an app, I definitely want to learn something. So educational based or even food based TikToks are what I follow.
Do you have anything that you consider a guilty pleasure? Are you a reality TV person? Is there, are you at home making like competition charts for like The Voice or something? Is there, is there anything in your downtime that you do?
Well, okay. Like I said, I'm a theater major and I love Broadway. Like most of my music is on Broadway. My guilty pleasure would have to be High School Musical, I guess. Like I love High School Musical. I love everything to do. I love everything to do on Glee. I just love performance. That's off of being creepy, but some people say it's corny, but I love it. It's a big part of my life.
What do you think about the upcoming Wicked musical or the Wicked movie?
I'm very excited. I actually love Cynthia Erivo. My favorite musical is The Color Purple, and the revival. Yeah, the revival that she was in.
She is incredible.
Was just amazing. And Ariana Grande, I mean, some people love her, some people hate her, but I think she has that Broadway
She's got
background.
the range. She's got the range for Glenda.
Kill it. She's going to kill it for sure. But I'm excited about it. I mean, I wasn't excited about the Dear Evan Hansen one, and I stopped watching halfway through because I was like, "This is I was going to say,
boring. I think you were right to be scared of that. But there's just some things that I feel like theater. I was raised in theater as well. I've been acting since I was 10, and there's something about the theater experience where there are certain kinds of stories that you can get away with telling in a theater experience where everybody that walks in and pays their ticket knows that they're walking into a theater experience. They know kind of that the vibe that they're going to get in theater. You know what you can get away with. It's a very intimate thing. If there's a conversation between you and, maybe a couple hundred people, that kind of thing. But like, I don't know, when you take something out of that space of a theater and you turn it into a movie or a film or a TV show or something like that, there's something I feel like you lose, and you either need to replace it with something else or don't do it. Like it,
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
Like, why did Cats need to be a movie?
Right. I didn't even watch that. I actually don't even like that musical, so.
It's terrible.
But I know something has to be said. I think when I go into watching a new movie musical, I don't try to attach myself to what I know from the film. I mean, from the theater version, because it's always going to be different. They're new artists. In the end, they are artists, and I'm there to support. But I try to watch it through new eyes, and sometimes I think it's very beautiful. Like, I think many people would disagree with me, but I loved Grease Live a few years ago.
Really?
Yeah, I did. I loved it.
Hutchins, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Vanessa Hudgens.
She was phenomenal in that.
Yeah, and people were bashing her. They're like, "Oh, she doesn't know how to do." But a lot of people
her dad had just died the night before.
Yeah.
She gave an incredible performance, and then she did Rent Live, and that was even better.
Right. Yes, I watched the slime tutorial of that. They call them bootlegs. The slime tutorial. But what has to be said about that is many people need to realize that these are professional actors, and their job is to step into bodies and to embody other people. And I think just because they know somebody from something doesn't mean they can't do another thing. So I always try to appreciate those types of things in remakes or reboots of musicals.
Something that you said earlier, I didn't even realize that you were so involved with like Blossom and those kinds of sites, but videos like yours are sort of in that category of those 5-minute crafts, that kind of thing, where so many debunking videos and blogs and stuff are starting to be written because so many of the 5-minute crafts and the little recipes and stuff, they don't represent things that you can actually do. You're not going to
I can actually give you a little bit of story about that.
Oh, please. Because I was I like the chocolate cake in a paper bag, those kinds of things. Those don't happen. That doesn't happen. It's all false.
However,
I would love to hear the story.
You can cook in paper bags. And in my cookbook, I am working on a recipe that we make in a paper bag.
Are you baking in a paper bag?
I am, yes.
I want to see this recipe.
Yes, I am. Okay, but anyways, like you said, the debunking thing. There was a. I don't want to go into too much detail because I don't know how much I can say. But there was this major news company who came to the media place that I was working at the time to write an article and to basically debunk the hacks that we were doing. And our manager had me, which I was like a team leader for production artists in whatever, and another person. We were there to try 3 hacks that they wanted us to try right in front of this reporter. And it was it's crazy because the first one was making rice in a coffee pot or something like that. So we started making the rice in the coffee pot, and he was like, wait, I'd love to inspect that rice. And he was inspecting the rice, and he's like, this is minute rice, and you didn't say that in the video. And it was a big thing, and he was getting so mad with the CEO of the company, and I was standing there I didn't know that I was going to do this today. I was just supposed to I don't know, you just asked me to do this in the morning. So it was such a weird thing. But he wrote a horrible article about how bad everything was there and how fake some of the hacks are. Because there were some real ones, how fake some of them were. And it was just crazy. They even contacted former employees to get how it was to work and come up with ideas for that type of content. But yeah, basically that's what happened. And it was just crazy. And at that point I was like, this is not what I want to do. This is not what I want to do. I want to be a truthful artist, Yeah. So maybe it's perfect that I wasn't credited in them. So yeah.
Yes, because I think that would probably give a lot of people some pause about your current videos. But because I like that you talk about the need for authenticity. Do you ever are there ever skills that you employ in making your videos that you're like that I don't know that maybe you go back and then you undo it and you do a simpler version, or do
Yeah.
you go whole hog the whole time?
No, no, definitely. There are some like we talked about opening a video and get grabbing the attention in the first three
Mm-hmm.
seconds. It's actually three. Um, well, I do things in those that indicate that I'm using this and I'm doing that action. I'm just not doing it so abruptly all
Sure.
the time. So yes, there are times where I'll say full recipe because I want to make sure that they're getting the full recipe. But I also, my first thing is to make this recipe visual for them. So visual, then educational, you know. So yes, there are times where I'm just like, just for dramatic purposes, I'm doing this, but you really do this, but you use the same things. For
Do you?
example,
Oh, go ahead.
right, I have an example of uh, injecting heavy cream into some Jello mixture, some
Mm-hmm.
that hasn't been set. I do that. However, I don't use that much heavy cream that I used to visually show that I'm doing that. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like finding a balance of telling the truth, storytelling, and entertaining, and teaching. So
Do you like working on the smaller scale that like short form videos allow you to do, like a TikTok or an Instagram or something like that, or do
Mhm.
do you ever go crazy? I mean, like what's like the Nikk Alcaraz wedding cake look like? Like, do you go all out and do big things? Because if so, can I watch that? I would love.
Do
And do
big,
you
big,
take
big
orders?
things.
Like, yeah, do you take?
Right,
I mean, is there a side hustle? Is there a side
right,
hustle on the side hustle where people write in and get send you their orders? Do
right.
you send people Gordon Ramsay donuts?
That would be fun, and maybe in time, there may be somebody who would package them and mass produce some really cool things. But at the moment, I don't take orders, and I only make things for like friends if they really need something. Uh, but yeah, I usually just enjoy working small scale, short form on TikTok. Doesn't take a lot of, well, it does take a lot of time to do, but it doesn't take up so much time where I'm just like, whoa, like I never want to do it again. So it's just, I love giving a little taste of everything. And, I have tried the road to YouTube. Well, not religiously, like I have two videos up, but they take so much time to make, and the outcome of views and comments, or the people who even get to see it, is very, very small. So I think short form is definitely the way to go for my content.
Is there a skill out there that intimidates you that you want to stay away from? I mean, like for me, I think probably like I love while I love watching the videos of people that go buy like an old blanket at Goodwill and then turn it into like like a whole outfit or something.
Right,
I am not going to do that. That
right,
scares me. Or to try it on my own in my own home without supervision. Yeah, I'm like, I will try a new thing, but there are certain things that I want my handheld doing that. Is there
right.
anything that intimidates you when it comes to like, new weird skills?
Yeah, I there's one thing that I really want to do, which is like woodworking, but I'm very hesitant on it because I
And
don't
it's an
know.
expensive hobby to get into. I mean, so
Yeah,
much equipment is needed.
yeah, it's a lot of equipment. But I've done a little bit, like this paneling behind me.
Uh-huh.
Done. We just added the wood to the wall. Like so simple, so effective. But I'd love to do other things with wood, like making spoons and stuff would be so cool.
Those are cool.
Yeah,
It's a lot of time.
yeah.
But yeah, I appreciate that. Um, I I think the thing that I'm so curious about with folks, is there anything that, as far as following your passion, one, what keeps you passionate about it? Because I know that you've only really kind of been doing this for yourself for a little over a year or so. But is there anything, still your output is huge and you're now operating on a really big scale. What continues to keep you coming back to it? And is there ever a point at which you see yourself saying, here and no further, I'm good now. I'm done.
Well, what keeps me going back to it, like I said before, I hate authority and I hate working for people. So there's one. I get to wake up whenever I want and I get to do my work in the night where it's appropriate. So I love that, having the freedom to just be the creative of it, being the person to approve everything, to control everything. I don't have to go through anybody, and nobody has to tell me no. I hate being told no. So yeah, that's the main thing, is I get to do this. What makes me keep doing it too is how successful it gets. So the money is like way better than when I worked for an actual company, So that's always great to like live comfortably, especially like somewhere here in LA where things are so expensive. So that is another thing that keeps me going back to it. And lastly, the subject matter of it all is very me. So if I want to put out anything, it's what I am and what I represent.
Can I just ask,
one more thing?
Yeah.
People. It helps people. It inspires people. And I love to do that. Like I said in the beginning, when you asked me what made me keep baking, it's the same thing. It's like people message me and say, you inspired me to try this, or you inspired me to quit my job, or you inspired me to follow my passions. Yes, I'm all here for that. It's not always easy, but it's always rewarding. So as long as you believe in what you do and you do it well, good will come.
What are you eating on like a Tuesday night when it's cold outside and nasty?
I love soup.
And please just tell me that this soup is just like some regular soup out of like a can or something. Is that
not canned soup, but I like, getting a bunch of vegetables and just throwing them into a pot with broth and then having this soup. My favorite soup is butternut squash soup.
I make a mean butternut squash soup.
Yeah.
I make a mean one. Yeah. Oh yeah.
You can give me the recipe.
I will give you the recipe. I will give you the recipe.
But yeah. What I eat normally on a day-to-day is very normal and surprisingly very boring. Like, I love food that's kind of bland. A lot of people
really
would expect me to like all this flavorful stuff because I do cooking on TikTok and I am ethnic and blah, blah, blah. But no, I love things that are quite bland.
What's your comfort food?
Comfort food. I don't know, mashed potatoes. I love mashed potatoes.
Really? Yeah. I love that answer.
Yeah, they're so good.
What do you put in yours?
Well, those I don't like bland. And I brown the butter.
Uh-huh.
Put brown
really?
butter. Yeah. And I put a little bit of...
I don't think I've ever had brown butter mashed potatoes.
Oh, it's so good. And with a bit of nutmeg.
Really?
Perfect. Yeah, perfect. And I like to use almond milk instead of like full fat milk because, I can't really have much dairy, but I do have the butter. But yeah.
Let's see. I'm a butter, garlic, cheese, herbs.
Where are you from?
Texas originally.
Okay,
I live here in the Chicago area now, but I'm from Texas originally. So give me that that flavorful, garlicky, cheesy, buttery goodness. Give me all the fat.
I love that, and I let myself do that for the holidays. I am really skinny, but I like I said, I'm very health conscious about everything that I eat. So I go with the whole type blander side. I don't know why, but I can eat more of it. That's why maybe.
I mean, I can also understand that, if you are sort of known to cook professionally, sometimes, I mean, but sometimes you want what you do for a job and then what you do for yourself tend to be two kind of opposite things, I think.
Right. Okay, this is not a promotion, and I'm not like sponsored by them or anything, but I do subscribe to HelloFresh because they just give you everything.
I love them. I love them.
I don't like to go to the grocery store or anything, and they just have everything laid out for you. Bam, done.
I literally asked for a HelloFresh membership for Christmas. I was like, I just, I feel like I'm a pretty good cook. I cook a lot. I cook most of our meals. I'm a pretty dang good cook, but I will tell you, just sometimes it's just like, I want to try a new thing, but I don't want to buy
all
of the extra. Yes.
Have all this extra. Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I would love to go make that, but then I've got all the stuff for that. And when am I going to use that? Like, I did a roasted leg of lamb at Christmas, and there's a fig sauce that you make, but like the stuffing for the lamb, you soak creme de cassis. You soak a bunch of berries and stuff and herbs and creme de cassis, and then you stuff that. And I've made this several times in the past, but I've never used the creme de cassis. I just kind of soak it in other things because I'm like, that is a whole bottle that I am buying for literally 1 tablespoon of this. And I did go ahead and splurge for this Christmas, and I bought the whole bottle. But again, it's just a giant bottle of this alcohol that's now just sitting in my kitchen that I'm like, what am I going to do with this? I better make a lot of lamb, I guess, or something.
Yeah, exactly. I totally understand that. I don't drink, but for one of my TikToks, I needed brandy to set something on fire. And I've just had that brandy sitting around forever, just for, like you said, a tablespoon of brandy that I need.
Yeah, it's just sitting there. Yeah.
But it's there whenever I need to set something else on fire. So
are you conscious of that when you're making your own, videos and stuff? Are you conscious of like, well, if I tell somebody to go buy this, they're going to have a whole bunch of this if they don't use it? Is that something that you're conscious of yourself?
I am. Actually, I'd say one thing that sets what Christine McConnell and I do apart is I try to make these things for somebody who doesn't have the heightened skills in the area. Somebody who could just make it for a party, and somebody who could just be like, also people will be impressed by what they make. Basically. Yes. Just make it easy.
Which is why I very much appreciate your videos, because I will watch one of hers and I'm like, well, how did you make that? And then she's like, here's how I made this. First, I got out my Dremel tool and my woodworking things. And I'm like, baby, I just wanted to make a cake. I didn't. Yeah. I'm not dremeling a cake.
And I love that she does all of that stuff. And I would love to have all of those skills like woodworking.
Sure.
But yes, what I do is for the people.
Yes, yeah, and I appreciate that, and which is why I make your recipes, and I admire hers from afar. Is there anybody that you want to work with that you haven't worked with yet?
Well, okay. Of course, we keep bringing up Christine McConnell.
Sure,
definitely. Helena Garcia from the Great British Bake Off.
Nice.
I'd love to work with her as well. And Martha Stewart, before she kicks the bucket, I'd love to do something.
I love it. I would adore, Martha Stewart, Halloween, she takes it seriously. She takes Halloween.
That's where a lot of my inspiration comes from too, is like, it's so handmade, which is so historical, because things back then were all handmade. So
yeah, she goes whole hog on Halloween. I was growing up looking at her like Halloween her Halloween edition of her magazine. I was always a little intimidated. I was like, I would love to do this, but this requires sewing skills that I do not have and do not wish to go get.
So, because of her, I actually took up sewing. Did you know the shirt that I'm wearing right now used to be like a women's large white shirt, and I sewed it down and dyed it to look like it does right now.
That's crazy, because the sweater that I'm wearing right now used to be at Nordstrom. Yeah. And now it's on me. Yeah.
Comedian. Yes.
You cook, I entertain people. I try. It's fine. Oh, well, Nikk Alcaraz, thank you so much for taking a little bit of your time to be here today. If folks want to watch your videos, get in touch with you on social media, how do they do that?
Yes, so they just look up at Practical Peculiarities on all platforms except Twitter, because I don't have one.
Stay off it. And that is going to do it here for us today. I would like to thank once again my guest, Nikk Alcaraz. Practical Peculiarities is available on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and hopefully one day beyond. If you like Head on Fire and you want to support it, there are a number of ways to help. Consider sharing it with your friends on social media. You can also like the show and rate it 5 stars on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And also, while you're there, leave a quick review. Even just a couple of words or some emojis really helps bump it up in the suggestion algorithm. Reviews help make sure to recommend the show to other listeners like you. Help keep the show free and producing regularly by joining my Patreon on a monthly basis. Patrons receive additional audio and video content, as well as archived episodes, a private Discord server, and a monthly book club. Sign up at patreon.com/headonfirepod. Or if a one-time donation is more your speed, you can buy me a coffee at ko-fi.com. That's ko-fi.com/headonfirepod. Connect with me on social media everywhere at headonfirepod. Today, we asked the question, how do I pursue my passions? How do I get out of this hustle culture or take the lessons that I learned from it and craft a new kind of career for myself? I hope while you're seeking the answer to that question that you remember you might already have the skills you need. But if you add a dash of magic, you'll never go wrong. Thanks for listening.